Hello and happy Sunday, my crafty friends. Today I am going to be sharing with you these 3 cards that I created using the adorable images by Kinda Cute by Patricia. If you have not seen any of her images or checked her out, I do recommend that you do so. So I will be showing you how I use 3 of her images that are not necessarily intended for Valentine's, but you could use them all year round. So in this case, I am using them to create my Valentine's cards. And what I'm going to be using to color them, it's going to be my Prismacolor pencils and also Gamsol to blend them in. And by the way, these are digital images. She does have some that are clear stamps, but I do not own any of those. All the images that I have are all digital, and I am actually, these are images that I had already pre-printed a while back, but I do have tons more that I need to print, and that way I can have them ready for when I want to create and make some of cards using her images. So they are so adorable. I mean, I don't know what you think, but I love the images that she creates. So anyway, let's get back to the coloring. I am doing, like I said, very simple coloring, and I super sped up this process because I'm not doing anything fancy. I am just using my color pencils to put in a little bit of color, and in most cases I am using 2 colors, a lighter color and a darker color, and then just to kind of give it a little bit of depth or shadow into in this case, the balloons. When you blend with the Gamsol, it just makes everything look so nice and pretty. Sometimes, a lot of people do like to leave their images just color with the color pencils. They like the texture. With me, depending on what I'm doing, I will sometimes leave them like that. But in this case, I wanted the images to look a little bit more blended and softer colors. So I decided to use my Gamsol. The Gamsol that I'm using here, this bottle is from Inky Antics. I've shown you before, and I absolutely love this one. Not only because it does not smell, it does not have any odor, but because it has that little dauber cap on the top that is amazing. I tend to be very clumsy sometimes when I am crafting, or if I have any open containers around my area. So to prevent any accidents from happening, this is a lifesaver. Because at least I will knock it once or twice during the process of making a card, but in this case I do not need to worry if that happens because of that cap that it has, and you're able to use it, just put in your blending stump right onto it. But anyway, I am enjoying making some of my Valentine's cards. I do have a lot more planned, or die cutting and stuff that I did. I'm using that really cute paper pad by Pebbles that I showed you on my last video, and I will be making some more cards or projects with that as well. But in this case, I wanted to create other cards and try to feature a different thing. In this case, I am featuring the images by Kinda Cute by Patricia, and you can find her here on YouTube. She also has videos of her coloring. She is amazing at coloring the images, so when I color them, I am not doing her any justice because the coloring of her images are very, very cute. Now you can use different mediums to color them, but the one that I kind of like to do a little bit more is coloring pencils. I do need to practice a little bit more with my alcohol markers, but I will get to that when, at some point. I just gotta get out of my comfort zone, right? But anyway, like I was saying, her images are very, very cute, and she does have a new Valentine's release, that I actually have not gotten any of her images yet, but I am planning to maybe purchase a couple in the near future, so that way I can create with them as well. But I thought that, Valentine's is not necessarily just, a day that you love your significant other, but you also love your friends and, family. So you could also give cards to them. And it is a, celebratory season for everybody. So I thought that, you could give out balloons and everything like that. And then this image of the little girl just being flown away by all these balloons, that it was really, really cute. Now, I did create a couple of other cards that you saw at the beginning, but for those I do not have the coloring process because those images I colored them ahead of time. So I do like to sometimes bring any coloring with me if I am out and about and, I'm sitting down or doing something. For example, I was at my daughter's gymnastics class and I needed some time to kill, so I was coloring these images there. Now what I'm doing here is trying to give a little bit of dimension or a little bit of form to her dress because I didn't want it to look all plain. And again, I am not an expert and I can't do that too much, but I was just kind of looking at what the frilly waves at the bottom of her dress were, and I just drew some lines, um, going up, and then blended in a little bit with the blending stump to make it look like, like her little dress is flowing, which I think is really, really cute. But anyway, I am just using here a little bit of color for her face, and I do apologize if you do not like to watch, the coloring process. You can go ahead and speed it up a little bit more to where I put the card together. But I know that some people like to watch or see the coloring. Though, like I said, I'm not an expert, but I do feel like it is relaxing coloring. Now, another thing here that I didn't realize till the end that when I was coloring her hair, my camera had stopped recording. But since it's, not big deal, I just did basic coloring of her hair, which I did not blend that one because I didn't want to lose the detail of the lines that I was creating there. So all I'm doing here is I am just using my scissors to trim this out and to fussy cut around it. And I am a little particular when it comes to fussy cutting the images. I don't like to leave big spaces of white in the middle, so I was making sure that I cut everything around. Now what I am going to be doing here is to create my background. I am using this little cloud stencil like thing that I created. I like to do a lot of DIY things, and I do not have any stencils that are for clouds. A lot of times I would just cut a piece of cardstock and use that as I was trying to blend. But in this case, I decided to make myself a little stencil using this this plastic. I do have a few stencils that I've created this way, and if you guys are interested, go ahead and leave me a comment below and I can show you how I did those stencils and what I used to make them. But this is very easy, and I am using some distress oxides to create this beautiful cloudy sky. I'm using two different shades. I believe one was stormy sky. Actually, I don't remember, and I apologize because I left the caps flipped, but I can leave the names of the colors that I use below if you guys are interested. But like I said, I'm just doing some very basic coloring, or blending, I'm sorry. And I wanted to add a little bit of green on the bottom to kind of make it seem that she's not way up in the sky yet, but she's barely getting flown away. So I added a little bit of green using these memento drops that I had at hand. I only have one of the green distress oxides, and it wasn't one that I wanted to use because it was a little too different. So I wanted to use a little bit more happy green, and that's why I used this. So once I was done blending this, I went back in with the blue and just kind of tried to blend both the green and the blue and blend it a little bit more. And I'm trying to see how my image is gonna look. So what I did here, I die cut the panel off camera, and now I am going to be stamping a sentiment on the outside. And I'm using this sentiment, this from the stamp set Artsy. I believe the company is called Artsy, and it just says sending love. So I am going to be stamping that, or sending lots of love, and I'm going to be stamping it on the bottom right hand side where that green is, right below the little girl's feet, where they're going to be hanging. I am stamping this a couple of times so I can make sure that I have a very nice dark and crisp impression. And I use my Memento black ink for that. So now I am going to be ready to be mounting that little girl onto the background. And doesn't that look just so neat? So I was thinking to just kind of glue it onto the background, but I thought that giving it a little bit more dimension would be good. So I decided to pull out some foam tape. And now this is another little pet peeve of mine, that when I am putting foam tape on things that are small, like have like the little feet or the little hands, I like to put foam tape on everything. Since this is a digital image and I don't have like a die cut, so I can't use foam tape, to cut the whole thing out, which would be a lot easier. But, it just takes a little bit extra time, but I'm just, cutting little tiny pieces and putting them everywhere so that way everything is popped up and nothing is going to be getting bent or out of shape if you put it in through the mail. So once I had that ready, I just put the little girl back in there, and as you can see, it just looks really nice with the image popped up like that. So now I am ready to put this onto my card base, and for this I am using a heavy stock card base, and I decided to go with, instead of a white card, to get a light blue shade, so that way it can kind of put in together the color of the sky. So I am just eyeballing it to kind of center it in place, and again, it's just not measuring or anything, but I thought that it was gonna be neat. Now here I decided to add a little bit of winkles of Stella to the balloons to make them be a little bit shimmery. Since they are up in the sky and the sun's a little bit, closer to them, I thought it would be a nice detail to add. And then lastly, I use my white Jelly Roll pen to add a little bit of highlights onto the balloons to make it, make them a little bit more realistic, you'd say. But as you can see on that yellow balloon, I had already left the space when I was coloring, but I forgot to do it on the rest as I was coloring. So using my Jelly Roll pen is a lifesaver because it seems like it was meant to be. Now I left the inside of my card blank because I wanted to put a different sentiment, and I wasn't sure yet if I am 100% going to use it for Valentine's or for something else. Now here's the two other images that I colored, and it's this cute little dragon that is holding a balloon, and this adorable ballerina girl. Now the background, I colored that because obviously it's just the stamp that you get of the little girl, but I thought of making the floor and the little bars to give it a little bit of detail, and I thought it turned out really cute. Now here I had some frames that I had cut, and for these cards I actually was going to be preparing them and have them ready for when I was creating my cards for my last video, but because these were images that I colored versus getting images from the paper pad, I decided to take them out of that and keep them together with this other video, so that way I could feature the digital images from Patricia instead of a bunch of different cards. But anyway, so that's why you see those other little llama and little hedgehog on the top right, the top left corner. But I am using here some foam tape to pop it up. I love adding dimension to when you have images or things like that to kind of pop them up a little bit. Now my frame that I put is a little bit bigger than the image that I had cut, but because like I told you, I had printed these images ahead of time, and depending on how much space I had is how I had to cut the image, because I printed a few of them into one sheet rather than printing one at a time, and that's why I had this already pre-made. But I'm just peeling the backing off of it, and I am just going to pop it into this. Now also, this card base that I use is one of those pre-made cards that you buy, like a pack of cards. So it's purple on the outside, it's white in the inside, and I decided to use one of my die cuts that I'd made that has the word smile. Now you can think that this little dragon looks so happy. He is holding his balloon, and again, this could be a Valentine's card or it could be a friendship, birthday, whichever. But I decided to also use a little bit of Wink Stella to put onto the word smile, just to add a little bit of shimmer. I just love having shimmer all over the place, so I decided to put it onto the word as well, and then the balloon. So just add a little bit of shimmer everywhere. And it just adds a little bit of extra and make it look kind of put together. Now what I was doing here was putting together my little girl. So because I had the card, I wanted to kind of put something behind it or mat it. The way I created the image, I didn't want to cut it out anymore, because I wanted it to look like it's either a frame or if you're looking through a window and you see the little girl getting ready or tying her little shoes, but I am just using this piece of black cardstock to mat it around it, and I am just bringing my paper trimmer to it. I am not measuring, anything exactly. I'm just eyeballing it to make sure that I have about the same frame all around, and I think I did pretty good. But that's all I did. So I pulled out this pink card base, which is the same as the purple one that I used for the little dragon, and I am just going to pop it in there onto the card. But before I did that, I was trying to decide if I was going to use a white card or a pink one, and I thought the white one looked a lot better, so I went ahead and used that one instead. Just trying to decide. It was yeah. So I decided to go with the white one, and then I was also thinking of what else I could do, put a sentiment on the bottom, and I had some bows and things that I had put together so that way I could make some cards. But I decided to kind of make it a little bit more Valentine's, to add a little bit of this pattern paper that has the words XOXO, and it will tie it together to either say it's a love card, or use it for Valentine's, or use it for anything else. But it kind of ties in together the red from her dress and the letters. I don't know, I just thought it looked pretty cute. So again, I am just trimming this and eyeballing it, not measuring exactly the distance, but just trying to make sure that I have a similar frame, that is about the right size on both the top and the bottom, and just making sure that it's there. And then I am ready to pop this onto my card base and center it. I just had to make sure I was using the right one, and when I grabbed this paper, it had made a little smudge, so I was making sure that I was using the right paper. So because I already have a couple of layers, I didn't want to pop this with foam tape, so I'm just going to glue it straight onto the card base. And I glued it a little bit up higher to the top because I wanted to have some room for this bow that I was going to be using. And I'm trying to decide which side of the bow looks prettier. So because I want my pretty side to be to the top. And once I decided which one it was, I just grabbed some of my hot glue and used that to glue it, because I wanted the bow to stay there and to glue a little bit faster rather than taking a while to dry. I glued it onto it, and it's just this pretty shimmery gold glittery ribbon. So I thought it was very pretty, and it gives me a little bit of space on the bottom to put a sentiment if I want to. So I don't know yet which sentiment I was going to be putting in there, but I left the open space. I could just use one of my die cuts, like the last one that says smile. I do have another one that says love or hello. But these are my 3 finished cards. I hope that you guys enjoy watching this video, and again, if you have not checked Patricia's images out, I do encourage you and recommend that you do so, because she has tons and tons of them. I will be leaving her information link below, and you could get these images and get tons of the other images that she has. And I do appreciate you watching my videos. I hope that you guys did like it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.